In this video, we're going to talk about manual pave. So I have a ring set up. This is the same ring I used in the auto pave video. You can use any item to practice on, or you can build a similar ring. And we just select the ring and go into pave. And just like auto pave, we want to set up a few things before we start manually paveing, if we want to do any sort of pattern on here. And if we go to collisions and frontiers, instead of test frontiers, you want to use only that for the auto pave. We don't need it for manual pave. But we do want to use the handling collisions. So turn that on, and you can set the minimum spacing between your stones. So this is going to make it so that you don't accidentally place any stones closer than this amount to each other. The other thing you may want to set up, this is optional, if you're doing any kind of pattern, it's much faster and easier if you only have to pave a portion of the part and then the rest gets mirrored over. So that's in the symmetry tab, the middle tab. And you can set it up using planes. And we just click the add button, and from our axes and planes folder, we choose the planes we're going to use. Now if you're doing the top of an item like this ring, typically it's going to be the Z planes that you're going to choose. So I'm going to use the XZ, and then hit the add button again and use the YZ. So let me hide the OXY and show the OYZ for you. So we're using these two planes for symmetry. Essentially, I just pave this corner, the other three corners get filled in. You can also do it just using one plane if you just want to do half of the object and have the other half. It depends on the shape you're filling in. So that's it. That's all we need for setup. We go back to the locations tab. That's where we set our positions. Okay. The way this works, we have a list of positions. We use the add button to actually click and place our stones. We use the move positions button to edit those places, and then remove if we want to get rid of a placement that we've already set out. We choose our stone sizes here, just like we're used to in most of our stone builders and the other parts of the pave. So let's go ahead and start this pave. I'm going to use the 0.03 that's already in here, so whatever you type here will be what gets added when you hit the add button. So we'll hit the plus, and you notice the icon changes to a little plus, and now wherever I click, the stone gets placed, and because I have symmetry on, it's getting placed in the mirrored positions as well. Now you'll notice once I click, the previous one turns black and I can no longer select it, including the one I just placed. So if you click and let go of the mouse, it's pretty much there until you go back and edit it. So if you want to change a position, you're going to switch to the move positions button. Now I can move those positions that I've already started. Select it by grabbing the edge, and then you can use the wheel in the middle to move it around the surface. Okay, let me delete these and start over here. What I recommend is you can actually move them as you place them, as long as you don't let go of the mouse button. So if I hit the plus, when I click, I'm holding down on the button and I can now slide it around the surface. So instead of having to drop it and then go back and move it, drop it, go back and move it, we can do it all in one step. So just hold the mouse button down, slide it into place, and then let go once you get it there. One thing you'll notice too when you have symmetry on is it has built-in snapping. It'll snap to those lines of symmetry. So again, if you're doing patterns, makes it really easy to set this up. I can drop it right in the center and it snaps. I know it's perfectly in the middle. And then I slide in the rest of my stones. I have collisions on, so you notice it snaps to the edge of the other positions. So I can quickly click and slide it into place and do this really quick pattern. Just like that. So once you have those setups and you preset those, you can do some really quick manual paves. It's not as time consuming as it would be if you had to stop and move each position and adjust them. So real quick, I want to show you, let me go ahead and delete these out of here. A quick way if you want to delete the whole list, if you go back to the auto pave tab and use that clear all button, it'll work on any of your paves. Real quick, I want to show you, instead of using plane for symmetry, you can also use an axis. In this example, I'll use the OZ. And when you're using this axis, you can choose the number of copies. It's 3 by default. So if I go back and I start adding my positions, I'll use some smaller stones on this one so you can see clear. You'll notice that the symmetry is based on the axis and it's doing 3 copies. So you can do some fun patterns this way. Okay. You want to be careful, obviously. I'm doing this in a little rectangular area and I've got stones going off the side of my ring. So be very careful with that. Make sure you're spaced your area correctly first. So let's get rid of these real quick. And we'll go back to the planes. Go ahead and set up our final pave and I'll show you how to set your stones in there. So again, I'm just going to let's use some 2-pointers and the plus button, quickly line up my pattern. Undo that one. Okay. So one thing I recommend, you notice I started with my paves up here and then I started placing some down here in the bottom. And what'll happen is you notice that the only ones that I can select in the edit mode are the ones with the black edges. The blue edges are all mirrored copies, so I can't select those. It could be on a really complex pave, it could be really confusing because you go to move this one and you have to find it's down here. So what I recommend, let me delete some of these, is if you're using symmetries like this, put all of your actual positions in the same area. So this quarter here, and leave all the mirrors down here. That way when you go back to move these around and edit them, they're all in one place. So just a suggestion. So once you have your pave laid out, we just go ahead and validate. And you get your advanced pave on the surface. And these are just markers, they're just positions. So we need to place the stones in those positions. You can build your stone. You want to build it in the center of the screen. So 0, 0, 0. Unless you want all of your stones to be above the surface, you can move it up or down below the Z. The size of the stone doesn't matter because our positions are going to determine the size. So it's going to scale whatever you create down here when we jewel it in. So that's it. You just build any stone, select it, select your group of pave positions, and the button right next to pave is called jeweling. That's going to take this object, place it into those positions. So we see the stone and the advanced pave for the positions. And that's it for now. We'll just go ahead and validate and our stones are placed. From here you can go ahead and set up your multi-cutters. So you can cut all of your seats at one time if you want. So, and real quick, don't forget that the pave can be used for other things besides stones. So despite the name pave and jeweling, you can use this for anything. Let's say I create a little sphere, select the pave here, and click on jeweling. It'll place those in those positions as well. So great for doing other things besides just pave stones. So that's it for the basics of pave. We'll see you in the next video.